Hello, hello! It is currently Wednesday, March 9th, 2011, and this is Day 9 Daily number 267. Inadvertently, I did two Day 9 Daily number 265s. I kind of forgot that I did two dailies while in Germany instead of one, and yesterday I did the 265th daily. Oh no! It was the 266th. So that's fine. We're going straight to 267 today. That is so cool. Now, because I'm still ill, I need to put that overlay up. Isn't that beautiful? Wonderful, lovely, fantastico. One thing that is, of course, a little always difficult is the fact that I am still jet lagged from Germany. So, for some reason, just being here at 7 p.m. is like hard, man. Wow. I think, of course, every single time I have to go on a trip and I come back from that, I should have the daily at whenever I'm awake. Just whenever motivation and consciousness are intersecting, I should just be like, I'm going live right now. Keep everyone on their feet and that sort of thing. So because the jet lag is still affecting me, because I'm ill, and because I have to go get on a plane soon to go to PAX East in Boston, this is going to be a little bit of a ninja daily. We're going to watch a replay the way through. We're going to wrap this sucker up and be done. And you might be saying, oh no, I'm so deprived of content, Day 9, help. Don't worry, there are cool things in store for you because I think I announced yesterday that I have a video commentary uploaded of myself and my buddy Zoe that we did while I was in Germany. So check that out at day9tv.blip.tv. There's going to be a bunch more of those uploaded as well. Not just to my channel, but also to mystarcraft.de. Additionally, for the Penny Arcade Expo, there's a little special event that I'm doing with Husky, which is the PAX Liquid Show Match Series. 4 of the top players from Team Liquid, that would be Hey Pro, Tyler, Jinro, and the little one, are duking it out in a best of 5 single elimination bracket. For $500, we're going to have the first series uploaded to Husky's channel. That's youtube.com/HuskyStarcraft. That's going to be TLO versus Hey Pro. That best of 5 will be up on his channel. And then on my channel, day9tv.blip.tv, we're going to have Jinro versus Tyler. And then at PAX East, we're going to be shoutcasting the finals. For any of you who, of course, will not be at PAX East, the finals will be uploaded as a split between my channel and Husky's channel, so check those out. Yeah! They're going to be awesome games. They're going to be great because, again, Hey Pro, Jinro, Tyler, TLO, good games for $500. Yes, check those out. So there's content galore exploding onto all the channels. You should check that out. In the meantime, going to this game between Oxlov from EG and Root Gaming's Destiny in the bottom. For any of you who have not had the delight of watching Destiny stream, do it because he's awesome. He's quite funny. He's quite good. All the necessary components for a successful stream. Hip hip hooray. He's in the south position on Shattered Temple. And, you know, I'm pretty excited because this is the first commentary that will be on this new map, Shattered Temple. Let's go ahead and state some of the obvious stuff. First of all, this is a very wide entrance to the base. Traditionally, Protosses have loved Lost Temple because it's been a very, very wide entrance. But I would honestly say that on the original Lost Temple, it was a really narrow entrance for Protoss, which meant that they had an easy time defending the expansion. And then it was an easy third base. The third base is still quite easy on this map because, again, you know, here's your natural, bam, second natural right there. But in addition, you also kind of have an easy fourth over here. The spaces are kind of wide. We have these destructible rocks here. And I've actually paused the game right now to just note that this is the kind of map design that I like quite a bit, where really you don't need huge vulnerabilities to make something feel like it is a vulnerability. I think the easiest example of this is Blistering Sands, where, yeah, you know what? The distances are kind of long between bases, but I don't need a freaking back door that's so easy to knock down And I don't need a super impossible to defend third for the map to feel like there's dynamism. I don't need any of that. In this map, I mean, look, there's the third is pretty easy whether you're taking this goal or whether you're taking this one, but just the fact that there's an extra entrance to the side and just the fact that this is a little bit out in the open makes it some very, very interesting conflicts that can pop out of that. So, wanted to just note that right off the bat. Of course, this center Xel'Naga Watchtower is important, and we can always swing around these edges on the side to be able to get extra scouting information. So, some of the initial principles that we have on Lost Temple are still pretty much the same, that we would ideally like to be able to get an early expand up. That Zerg does not want close positions. Close would be, for instance, bottom versus right, or left versus top. So Destiny's going to be opening up with an extractor pool because Oxalov did end up doing a nasty, nasty block. How cruel, how cruel. There is the Cybernetics Core going down for Oxalov at the front of his base. This, I think, is a very reasonable way to open because, again, if we look at this map, this is kind of a wide open natural expansion. It's like Xel'Naga Caverns. We need units to defend it, so we shall go for a unit opening. And now, already we have Destiny doing some cool stuff, getting an extractor up so that way he can prevent his opponent from doing a couple of things. I think the biggest one is a sentry expand. I have germs that I brought back from Germany. I know I even brought back funny from Germany. I'm so good. But yeah, the big thing this cuts out is the sentry thing. But feel free to get creative in your head with all the things that this eliminates. For instance, a lot of Void Ray business you don't have to worry about. And of course, Oxalov throwing down a Cybernetics Core. Why a Cybernetics Core? Well, you know what? If we look at a gateway, 500 shields, 500 life, 550 shields, 550 life. Oh, this actually has a lot of health. Kind of a fun, cool way to play. Kind of a cool little style to do. Now, we're going to see how Destiny's going to respond. Already, I'm liking the way that Destiny is handling this situation, with one exception. The big thing that you never want to do anytime something unexpected happens is overreact. That is the big danger of any deviation, is overreacting. No matter what. I mean, like, here we have an extra building getting thrown down. I don't want you to freak out and be like, oh my gosh, my hatch is delayed even more. And then do something like Roach Warren all in or something like that. Or if, for instance, someone's doing some sort of, like, this happens a lot in Terran vs. Zerg. Every now and again, a Terran player does some sort of mass Banshee Viking opening where they're playing mostly starports on two bases. That seems kind of weird. Players will respond by, like, being way too defensive and not droning enough at all and trying to get, like, mass Hydra Spine Crawler and just kind of forget the basics of good gameplay. Here, you just do not want to overreact. The best way not to overreact is to have a list in your head of all the basics that you want. Early game basics for Zerg would be an expansion. Oh. Yeah. The basics that Zerg wants early on is a queen, an expansion, gas, so that way I can get some sort of speed from my pool, and a second queen. So notice that, like, we're seeing Destiny do pretty much all that. He's just getting a second queen. And if we look at his money is just now hitting 300, like just now. By having a clear list of all the things that he wanted, he's going to continue to get all the things he wants. He's just going to get them in a little bit different of an order. So let's see if Oxalov cancels. He does indeed. One thing that bugs me is Destiny's getting this extra gas. I don't actually think we need to do that. It's a little bit of a... I think that's a little bit of a mistake because, hey, look right now. We have all this gas that we cannot really do much of anything with. So again, anytime you're in crisis mode, this is why it's so important to have a clear set of stuff that you need to do. Here are the big 4 things. Queen 1, Queen 2, Hatch, and Speed for Zerglings. Always have that list of things that you want to do. For Protoss, your list might be 3 gateways, a forge, and an expansion. What do you do if Zerg takes your expansion really fast, right when you're going 3 gates? Well, that's pretty damn extreme. But hey, I guess I'll just get my forge before I get my Nexus and start upgrading earlier. Nothing extreme, no overreaction. So again, if you are worried about overreacting, just have your clear list of things going on. And if you're ever... Actually, that's... Holy crap, is that important? Thank God I have that pause button. If you're ever feeling that pressure, if you are ever in a point where something crazy happens and you're going, whoa, I don't really know what to do. That almost always means that you don't have a clear mid-game plan. Or a clear list of what you want to do. That generally means that you're falling too much into a build order syndrome, where you're going, okay, well on 15 food I do this, and on 18 food I do this, and on 10, 20 food I do this. That is useful for timing, but poisonous for strategy. It's poisonous if you try to follow your little step-by-step process, because then when you get thrown off, and you can't follow your steps exactly, you stumble. So you want to be able to march triumphantly forward, like Destiny. Again, notice that because Destiny left these guys in his geyser, he has way more gas than he actually wants. And hey, you know, and even another little rearrangement, Destiny's still spreading his creep quite well. Next is going down for Oxlov. Looks like he killed this off. And, you know, Oxlov, you got messed with, you know. It's funny, both players messed with each other earlier. Destiny stole this gas geyser. This was thieved in a knave-like fashion by Destiny. So, you know, what's happening to Oxlov? Nothing really. He's actually being quite resilient. He doesn't have as many sentries, but it's still kind of the same. Hey, you know what? Taking a robotics facility after his 3rd, taking a forge, which is somewhere here. I mean, I see it up here on the production. Oh, there it is right there. Yep. Yeah, all the necessary pieces. Generally, this robo is getting started when this is done. But you know what? This got delayed, so it's all good. It's all good. There's Gaming's Destiny getting the +1 melee upgrade. I'm interested to see how this is going to pan out. I'm going to come back to this. What I also want to spend a little bit of time on is discussing the importance of the map for this particular moment. Oxlov keeping everything pretty tight here in this little crevasse. Now, let's talk about the map. I'm actually going to make it go at normal speed because I do want this to be going in a forwardly direction, so that way I can go to Betty Bye because I have to get on a freaking plane soon. I have to call a shuttle. I hate calling shuttles. Alright, cool. Almost all strategy, actually I'll come back to me, almost all strategy on any map, you should have revolve around how do you get a 3rd base. The 3rd base is the biggest strategy indicator and strategy sculptor in all of StarCraft. The 3rd base. I want everyone to close their eyes and picture Blistering Sands. Ah, yes, everyone who is listening right now is getting fucking mad because they're like, oh, I hate that map. Okay, but I'm picturing it, Day 9. Tell me what to do next. I want you now to think about getting a 3rd base on Blistering Sands. Impossible! Impossible, right? Oh, it's hard to get a 3rd base on that map. Why? Because there's destructible rocks on my gold, and the non-gold expansions are far away and vulnerable. So what does this mean, strategy-wise? Because they're so hard to get, I need tons of units to be able to hold them. Tons and tons and tons and tons of units to be able to hold those expansions. So, for me, I'm feeling like maybe a 5-gate aggressive opening seems pretty good. 5-gate, and by that I mean early expand 5-gate. As a Protoss player, yeah, that seems pretty reasonable against a Zerg. Because I need all the units. I might even do something like what TT1 likes to do from Fnatic MSI. He likes to go 6 Warp Gate, huge aggression, take a base, and then get his Robo. Oh, cool. That makes sense to me because I need units to be able to defend. But you know what? On this map, how does the fact that we have an easy third base, or even this is an easy third, what does that mean for me? I like going 3 Warp Gate and then a Robo because I can begin getting my Colossi real fast. That's a small amount of units, 3 Warp Gate and a Robo, but because I can get my third so easily, it's not a big deal that I don't have that many units. It's just really not that big of a deal. We are also seeing a Spire go down for Destiny. I want you to think about the Spire in terms of a third base. What does this mean? Well, I guess if we have our Zerglings take down these rocks, I can get some sort of third base up kind of easily while harassing him. Yeah, that actually seems pretty reasonable. With Zerg, it's generally always a little bit easier to get up a third base, so I think that would be fine to say, get unit composition X while taking a third. Like harass him with Mutalisk and get a third. Get a whole bunch of those hardcore Hydralisks, the amazing defensive unit, and while taking a third. Do a Burrow Roach push early on while taking a third. This all seem good. These all sound good. I want you, though, to always have that third base as the big question in your mind. Because it's so easy to succumb to something like, well, I'm going to be going Mutaling, Baneling, I better get upgrades, and I need to get Infestors for that. And suddenly you realize you're on 2 bases for too long, and you can't really seem to make that game go in a forward direction. You're kind of just desperately stagnating, trying to find a win, clawing for some sort of heroism. And it's not coming. Oh no! The Destructible Rocks going down for Root Gaming's Destiny. The +1 melee upgrade. Under fire. Now, let's do some more considerations about this +1 attack upgrade. What does this mean? What does this mean? +1 melee attacks. What does this entail? What truth does this bring us? It's an easy answer. Okay. Your Zerglings are stronger. Yeah! Alright, now why would we like Zerglings on this map? Why would we like Zerglings on this map? Has a huge wide open space. Counterattacks seem really good. The third base, a little bit hard to defend, or even this left side. Oh, cool. Zerglings can abuse that. Hey, wait a minute. With all this wide open spaciness, Mutalisk and Zergling seems to operate really well. It can abuse how open it is. It can abuse these extra attack paths. It can abuse the distances. The bigger the distance, the more fast units tend to have their strength. Yeah, I'm actually liking this choice quite a bit. The easier time we'll have taking a third base because we have all these fast units. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Oh my goodness. Germany time zone. Let's come back to Protoss a little bit more. Notice that he is getting mid to late game units. Sentries and a lot of Stalkers. Early game units, the Zealots, kind of let you be aggressive. But you know what you heard me say earlier on this map, you just don't really need a huge army to take a third. You don't need to be aggressive early on to take a third. You can be a little bit defensive. Go for Colossi a little earlier. And we're seeing, indeed, Oxlov going for Twilight Council, going for the upgrades. He's doing all this sort of late game stuff. There's Root Gaming's Destiny, taking down those rocks. All seems well and good in the world, except for the fact that this Evolution Chamber is not really doing much. People love upgrades in general. They're fun to get. People have a lot of builds where they get a fast upgrade, but I want to leave you with the following. If you get an early upgrade, there should be exactly 2 reasons why you do that. One of these 2, and I think period. 1, You should get that upgrade fast because you're going to be doing an attack with it really fast, or because you want to get started on constant upgrades really, really early. This bothers me that there is no +2 attack going down. It's actually... Okay, so now it's actually happening. The fact that there was a little bit of time there worried me. I was worried that Root Gaming's Destiny was not actually going to be upgrading. Now that we see that he is, I feel great about that. Now that we see that he is, I feel great about that. But, you know, don't do one of these, like, I got an Evo Chamber early, got a +1, and then I got it, and then I sat down, and then stayed sitting down, and that's it, and I only have a +1, and I'm awful, and I'm like, don't be awful, man. Continue to upgrade, or attack. Those are the only 2 real reasons why you would do this. So, notice how a lot of what Root Gaming's Destiny is doing is revolving around this third base and around the architecture of the map. So, in terms of normalcy, Roach Hydra with +1 range, man, is that typical. Man, is that ordinary. Oh, that is so boring. You're so boring, Steve Bonnell II, which is Destiny's name. Man, that's so typical in every way. But when we want to think of a new strategy, hey, on this map, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all this fast unit business. I'm going to be getting Mutalisks and Zerglings with a +1 upgrade, the fast things, because on this map, I know that these fast units can help exploit the distances, can help exploit all sorts of goody goodness here. And I'm going to use these fast units to distract while I get my third base up. At which point, I'm going to be going Roach Hydra. I'm going to say exactly what I said again, but even shorter. I am going to go Zergling, Muta, because they're fast units on this open map. So that way I can get a fast third and go Roach Hydra. Revolves around the third. Revolves around the third. All strategy should revolve around a third base in the forefront of our thought process. So, notice Oxlov is doing not Colossi, right? He's not getting Colossi. But why was I talking about Colossi earlier? What I said was, hey, on this map, because it's so easy to get a third, you can just begin doing late game oriented stuff. You don't need to be aggressive. You don't need a lot of units to get a third. You just kind of need to walk there. So Oxlov could get Colossi, the late game unit, really early on. He wasn't getting those, but you know what? He's doing a late game focused technique right now by getting this fast forge upgrade. And here's Destiny trying to do some monkey business with these fast units. It's not actually very effective, as we are seeing right now. But you know what? Destiny is still doing just fine. I mean, look at the unit counting station. Look at how even that stuff is. Still trying to harass. We see that the Psionic Storm, this soon-to-disappear Kadar and Amulet that makes me weep. You know what? I think they should just, instead of removing it, it should just be like +15 energy. Right? Just +15 energy. For any of you who don't know what I'm talking about, on the public test region server, they're introducing a change where, and there's even more discussion of it really happening, removing the Templar plus energy upgrade, because when you warp it in, you can immediately storm. That's what that basically means. And apparently this was causing too many big difficulties in terms of balance, because no matter where you attacked a Protoss, in Terran vs. Protoss especially, a Templar would appear and bam, storm your drops, or whatever push was going on there. So I think instead of getting removed, it should be just +15 energy, because this means as Protoss, you'll always be frustrated. Oh, wouldn't that be awesome? It's like you warp in the Templar, it has +15 energy, so it starts with 65 energy, and you're just going, come on, just like 5 seconds and I can storm, and it always dies at 4 seconds. Oh, I think that'll teach people a good lesson in terms of patience and discipline. There's Oxlov making the Mickey Mouse formation. For any of you who do this, I always try to find Mickey Mouse in as many building constructions with Protoss as I possibly can. I always look for some sort of Mickey Mouse. Here's something a little bit Mickey Mouse-ish. Here's the 2 ears and the hatchery. I just figure I want to give you something that you cannot unsee. So we have all this good 4G business going down. We see more gateways going down as well. So I want to now, as I slow it down to normal, we've been talking a lot about Destiny's gameplay as it relates to this third. I'm going to talk about Oxlov's gameplay as it relates to this third. Oxlov said the following: I'm going to get a fast second base, and then I'm going to be going for this crazy mass forge upgrade with all the Templar tech and the Blink tech while getting up a third base. And right as my third base is getting up, I'm going to push. It all revolves around a third base. All is predicated on third base. I know a lot of y'all's going to be saying, ooh, 4G's upgrading. Ooh, maybe I'll do that. And you're not going to get a third, and I'm going to be pissed off at you. Gotta get a third, folks. Gotta get a third. So here comes Destiny. It looks like he is doing some very odd decision making. I absolutely would have engaged that. Try to protect my third. Absolutely would have engaged that. Looks like we have the Roaches moving forward. Destiny having some indecision here. But we're going to... this is very, very odd. For any of you who are watching the Intel Extreme Masters tournament that I did a little shoutcasting with TLO and Rotterdam in, we saw Moonglade in a lot of his games do these sorts of Roach counterattacks, which I think are overall very, very exciting to see. Very, very, very exciting to see these sorts of things go on, because we can see that it's a great way to eat into probe counts, that Roaches, because they're cheap and easy to replenish and fast, they can actually be quite effective at doing this. Destiny, it looks like he says, yeah, you know what, I'll damage you, because it was 4 base versus 3 base. Again, notice the Mickey Mouse, notice the Mickey Mouse. It was 4 base versus 3 base, so you know what, I will try to pick off one of your bases and make it 3 base versus 2 base, which I think is a noble general technique, but you have to be careful that you actually kill off that one base. Notice, though, that Oxlov just is ripping through his gameplay. This is just great that he's already getting, like, insane upgrades. Here are 2 Robos making the Colossi. I really think that this is extremely impressive and enlightening play by the Protoss player. Destiny having some struggles, though. Having some definite big struggle time going on. Yeah, this is actually going to be quite hard to deal with as a Zergy. I'm starting to wonder how I would deal with it. Yeah, you know what? Roach counterattacks. Okay, cool. You heard me say at the start of the game, I'm going to go Zerglings and Mutas to do counterattacks on this big, wide-open map in the early game. It wasn't quite as effective. And now we're going to end up seeing Roaches do the exact same purpose as those Zerglings and Mutalisks did before. Destiny doing a lot of cool business here. I even think that Roach Burrow is going to be increasingly important in these sorts of exchanges. But the Blink Stalkers end up popping all the way back. There are the Hydra drops to moisturize as well as to be aggressive. Oops, doing some little retreating action. I'm starting to formulate an opinion on our Zerg's play. Yeah, this is good stuff. This is what I'm talking about. That's great. Okay. I'm going to slow down and talk about what I think about Destiny's play throughout this game. He's been playing with a counterattack focus in mind. Drops from Hydralisks. Drops over here from Hydralisks. Counterattacks with Roaches here. Counterattacks with Roaches here. In the mid-game, counterattacks with Zerglings and Mutalisks. Counterattacks with Zerglings and Mutalisks. Try to just pick our opponent to pieces. Whoopsie daisies, taking a little bit of extra damage. If you want to play a counterattacky style, you got to make sure that there's no units there. Notice that this drop was able to do damage because these units from Oxlov were not quite there yet. A drop up in this corner would do damage because there's not units here. A drop here wouldn't do very much because there's these 2 cannons here. Especially in that early and mid-game phase, that Mutalisk Zergling play was ineffective because Oxlov was so defensive that he was essentially impregnable to any of that sort of aggression. And here comes a huge issue that is very, very hard to see and in your own play that I've experienced many times in Brood War throughout my illustrious career of intense frustration followed by amazing highs of holy cow, did that problem just solve itself? So here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to bestow some knowledge upon you. Oh my gosh, get ready. All right, are you ready? You ready? Let's do this. In gameplay, there always tends to be I would call it a theme to one's play. And I'm talking about at any level. From the bronziest of bronze players to the masterly-ish of master players. Almost everyone, subconsciously or not, has a theme that they're going for in their play. Let's state something that, like, a lot of people would say, like, oh, I'm going to do some drops. I'm going to be very drop-oriented in my play. Very drop-oriented. Bronze players will do this with big medevac drops with Marines and Marauders, you know, even Master League players, even people like Moon, we saw at IEM do amazing stuff with Hydros drops. Or you'll say something like, maybe a Zerg, like, I am going to be doing big Broodlord plays. Yeah, that's going to be the theme of mine. Is I'm thinking about the Broodlord. Again, people tend not to make these declarations, but they'll think it. When they sit down, right as they're getting like their first expansion up, they'll be thinking, can't wait to get those Broodlords. They'll have, even without wars, they'll have pictures of Broodlords in their head. Or what are some more of these themes that we can think of? Oh, the Protoss players saying, oh yeah, I need a lot of... I'm going to have the Colossus Ball, and that's going to be my ticket to winning. Or sometimes people succumb to these mid-game plans, like Fnatic MSI's TT1, who I mentioned earlier on. A lot of times his theme is, I'm going to get tons of Warp Gate units. I'm going to get 6 Warp Gates on 2 bases fast, and I'm not even going to attack that early, but I'm going to have so many Warp Gate units. There's always this theme. And people tend to... people have a tendency to view these as equivalent. So let's take TT1 style that I just said. A lot of Warp Gate units, that's going to be my theme. Or one day he'll say, yeah, a big Colossus army while taking more bases, that's going to be my theme, and that sort of thing. Unconsciously, this is the danger that happens. In your buildings, there always needs to be forwardness. There always needs to be a forward movement to them. You need to be doing more upgrades. You need to be adding more expansions. You need to be teching up to higher things, right? There needs to be a forward movement. On occasion, you really will not be doing all 3 of these things at once. Sometimes you'll even be saying, yeah, I'm not going to be expanding or upgrading or teching for 2 minutes because I just need to build up some units so that I can do more expanding or more upgrading or more teching, right? But there is an awareness of, yeah, I'm going to take that 2-minute break because I know I desperately need to do this. A huge danger that happens is people get so caught up in their little theme, they forget to keep expanding or keep teching or keep upgrading. In other words, they forget to do this forward momentum with their buildings. I want to emphasize the building here because what I am noticing as a consistent issue here in Root Gaming's Destiny's play is that unit-wise doing counterattacks with the Roaches, unit-wise doing counterattacks with the Mutalisks, unit-wise doing drops with these Hydralisks, there they are. But everything else-wise, oh man, well, it looks like, you know, we got some upgrades, but we haven't really been teching. We haven't been doing as much late game-ness to it. We're kind of, oh no, we're kind of stuck in the mid-game. And this is something that happened to me tons in my Brood War career, where I would have this, I had my base style, which was, you know, it was a complete game plan. It was like start to very long-term late game, and I would say, I want to think of a new way to play. I want to experiment with a new style. And I would get to this point where I would just get stuck, and I wouldn't realize that I was stuck. I would be doing all the mid-game things. I'd be getting only like roaches and hydras or something like that, and I'd be doing all these attacks with them, but I'd realize, man, I'm not actually taking the Ultralisk or Broodlords, and I'm kind of not really getting more upgrades, and I'm not expanding as much as I should be. Because at this point in the game, this is kind of one of these cold water splashed on the face moments where you're kind of going, oh my god, I'm against a 3/1/3 Protoss who has Templar and Colossus and 4 bases. And I still am on layer tech. I'm still trying to get some Corruptors up to deal with it. And suddenly you're thinking to yourself, oh my god, my opponent is just... he's just so far ahead of me. If, for some reason, Destiny was taking a lot of bases while dropping, or doing a lot of teching up to Broodlords while dropping, that would be great. But as of now, it's been a lot of dropping for the sake of dropping, and counterattacking for the sake of counterattacking without doing as much damage. We're seeing Oxlov begin to dart in here. This is kind of an easy cleanup. And I mean, look at Oxlov. Look at more forward momentum here. The Dark Shrine, the Charge, the Protoss Shields. While all these units are out doing their, Ball o' Death play, the buildings are moving in a forward fashion. Hey, I'm loving this. Now I'm seeing this building begin to advance a little farther forward. We see Oxlov beginning to poke along the sides. Yeah, and whether this gets held off or not, let's assume that Destiny actually defends and crushes this. I mean, Oxlov just has all these gateways. He's having a Stargate going down. Yeah, there's so much forward movement and forward thought in all of these structures. Now we do see Destiny kind of playing a little bit defensively, trying to rearrange these spine crawlers to try to stay alive. Here come the Corruptors to pick off the Colossi and then to retreat behind the spine crawlers. For the record, I do consider spine crawlers to be doing something with your buildings. If you take a whole bunch of bases and actually just build lots of spine crawlers here, lots of spine crawlers here, Hydralisks plus spine crawlers are one of the most impossible to break compositions in the universe. In the known universe, as a matter of fact. I even want to also talk about this forwardness, this forward movement with buildings. You can be adding on more gateways, and I'm even cool with that. I'm even cool calling it forward movement. Killing off your own buildings. Not exactly the most forward movemently style that I have seen before, but you know what? That's cool. That is cool. Very awesome play by Oxlov. Extremely awesome. And now we're seeing that Spire go down, and I want everyone to just internalize how uncomfortable this look is from Destiny. And I don't mean like Destiny is, oh yeah, I want everyone to just not be Destiny, damn it. But I mean like, yeah, you know what? Getting a greater Spire so that way I can have all my fancy Broodlords. Yeah, I do that in general, and I like that in general, but something's looking wrong here. Destiny only has 2 bases here. Why are there not 4 bases? And again, it comes back to this idea of, I'm going to be doing drops, and oh my gosh, wait a minute, my entire focus on doing drops all game isn't really working. I guess I gotta get Broodlords. Wanted to integrate those drops with the Tech to Broodlords, have those kind of happening at the same time. Notice how that applies to you of all skill levels, having this idea of my buildings going forward in some fashion. Never want to get caught up. Excuse me. Never want to get too caught up in this subconscious theme you have. Oh, I'm going to be doing drops. Oh, I'm going to be doing lots of gateway units, and then having all your buildings stagnate in some fashion. Destiny, I think, is doing a very impressive job of just sort of holding on as best it can. We're seeing that Broodlords are, in fact, amazing. That you should get more of them, but Destiny is obviously not going to be able to hold. And I want to emphasize, for the millionth time, the importance of a mid-game plan. If we come right here, literally to the middle of the game, this is where we really start to see the big differences in these two players play. Both players looking good, looking good. I mean, look at this. Fourth base going on. Look at how active all these buildings are. Getting more buildings, upgrading more buildings, getting more buildings to get us more money. Oh, and the counterattacking is looking good. And see, this sort of counterattacking I like a lot. But you have to be careful not to be too suicidal with the units, not to be too suicidal. Let's actually look at these buildings by Destiny. Let's actually look at these. Okay, yep, I'm getting this hatch up. Getting this drone up. I think this is an appropriate time to say, yeah, I'm going to get some drones to get my bases up and running. That's what I'm going to do. Hey, look, getting the drop in the groove spines. I love that. I love that sort of thing. That's great. And then all of a sudden we see a little bit of lack of focus. A little bit of lack of cohesion. This actually is looking a little bit rough. A little bit rough. Here's we're going to see emergency mode go on. So, hey, you know what? Two upgrades going on. These Mutalisks could have participated in this counterattack. But a little bit of disorganization here. I mean, Oxlov just kind of had a clear offense. And Zerg didn't quite have as much clarity. So yeah, there's the counterattack going on, and we're going to see suddenly this like total stagnation in terms of like stuff going on for Destiny. I do think that this counterattacking, all this counterattacking, the theme is a good one, and I think it's something that should be done more, but needs to have a little bit more direction to it, because now all of a sudden we're in panic mode. We're even going to see for quite some time. Like right now that this expansion's starting to get up, we can begin a gradual tech. We can begin getting more upgrades. And, yeah, see, here's the dropping coming on. And here's where I start to get a little concerned for the forwardness. I mean, there needs to be some engagement here by Destiny. Continuing to run away because, you know, these counterattacks, what are these counterattacks allowing us to do? What are these counterattacks allowing us to do? And this is what I mean by this, you know, your theme. Again, having the forward momentum of the buildings, the adding more expansions, getting more upgrades, getting higher and higher tech. These counterattacks are fine, but you can't have counterattacks for the sake of counterattacking. It has to be counterattacks to let you... That's why, you know, it's kind of funny. Whenever people say, do standard strategies, just play standard. Almost always, if you look at standard strategies, they're strategies that, at the very core, have you not messing around very much, but just doing those forward things with the building. Expanding more, upgrading more, and taking up higher and higher and higher. Like, what is a normal way to play Terran vs. Protoss? Well, I take and expand, I go Marine, Marauder, Medevac, I get upgrades, and I expand more. People will label that as standard. You'll notice that there's not really that much talk about dropping in there, or unit movement. Sure, those are important things, but you know what? Getting more barracks, getting expansions up, teching to Medevacs. Wow, I'm teching up. Wow, I'm getting more unit-producing structures, I'm expanding more, I'm getting all the upgrades. Yeah, most standard plays involve you just not messing or even interacting with the opponent at all, just doing forward stuff yourself. And the reason that these are the standards is because everyone's starting to really see that at the core, those are what are really important, whether people will acknowledge it or not, or whether people are even aware that those are the important things or not. I would never argue that these sorts of counterattacks are bad, but they need to serve a purpose, because you need to benchmark this sort of counterattacking versus playing really passively and doing the quote-unquote standard-looking stuff. The standard-looking stuff. It's kind of funny, because if you watch, like, Idra play, Idra does not do this much counterattacking or this much dropping. He just sort of sits on his ass and builds up stuff, and when you come out, he just has more stuff than you. Yeah, alright. Why? Why is that the case? Because you know what? At the core, having that forward movement. So yeah, now Destiny is starting to finally get the sort of re-expand up. We're noticing that these evolution chambers haven't been doing much. And you might even say, well, of course they can't be doing much. He doesn't have a hive yet. But yeah, why does he not have the hive yet? All these counterattacks were great and fine and dandy and well and good. Destiny is not... I'm making it sound like Destiny's blundering hard and, it was an easy thing to fix. Destiny's actually doing it as fast as he feels comfortable doing. This seems like a pretty reasonably comfortable time to do it. But still, I want to just note that it doesn't feel that right when rewatching it. In-game, it can feel so right to be like, yeah, I can't really get it any sooner. I can't really get the Infestation Pit any sooner. These drops can't really do that much more damage. But if we rewatch the replay, we can be like, holy crap, Oxlov is way ahead and Zerg is way behind. Something wrong happened. That is the big realization that I also want to point out. So you know what? It is currently 10 p.m. I delayed the daily 2 hours today because you're tired when you consume two giant cans of energy drinks and then immediately fall asleep. Like completely unable to stay awake. And that was today, and I said, you know what? I'll be a little gentle on myself. I'm going to climb back into bed because I have to get on a plane soon. I have to go call a shuttle, though. But once again, definitely go to youtube.com/HuskyStarcraft. So that way you can look at Series 1 between Little One and Liquid Hey Pro of the PAX Liquid Show Match Series. Again, it is Hey Pro, Tyler, Jinro, and TLO playing in a best of 5 show match single elimination bracket for $500, the finals of which will be casted live by myself and Husky at PAX. First series going on Husky's channel, that's Hey Pro vs. TLO. Second series is Jinro vs. Tyler, that's going on my channel, day9tv.blip.tv. Check it out. In the finals, we'll be getting split up on our respective channels, so you should examine that. Yeah, and of course I'll be doing a little bit of a live state of the game action while at PAX as well. Gonna be awesome. I am peacing out. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye. Heart, heart, heart. Au revoir.